Welcome to part 2 of our AWFS special. In today's show, we'll hear from a number of manufacturers about their new and innovative products. So let's hit the show floor.
Alright.
We've got a new product from Marc here today. This is a 12-inch joiner planer combination machine. 12 inches planing cross, 8.5-inch stroke capacity. Go back, flip it around, safety edge. Bring your table back down. Yeah, 12-inch joiner.
And what does this retail usually?
We're doing $19.99 on this.
Is that a show price?
It'll probably be on special for $19.99 for a while.
Okay.
In the introduction, so.
Very cool. Can we get one?
No.
Great. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it.
Mark, we're really excited about this workbench. For a long time we've been selling these to themselves using that surface. And people in their shop find themselves using that surface more than they should, if you will. Okay? You ask a woodworker what's 8 square feet in the center of the shop work doing. It's a horizontal surface. We know the answer. And what we wanted to do was try to make this a much more utilitarian surface for him, where he can use this for some very common working tasks. Here we actually have our jet working lamp here, utilizing the bench dog. We can use this as a glue-up station. Sure. We can also use the vise here to clamp something between bench dogs.
Oh yeah.
And then you can sand it perhaps, or use it as a hand plane station.
That's awesome.
Just try to use this surface much more effectively than what we have in the past. Yeah. The whole way with this time. Mark, what we have here is our introduction of the Powermatic to the single-stage dust collectors. An improvement that we tried to incorporate in our dust collectors is in the transfer tube from the impeller housing up to the center section. What you typically see on these is a tube much like what we have connected to it.
Flex hose.
Yeah, flex hose. Well, that immediately relegates that opening to a 4-inch round, and then you have a convoluted surface on the inside coming up to this. All of this has reduction effects on the CFM.
They're already losing right there.
Yeah. So we try to get that a smooth surface, get it as big as possible, and a nice transition. So that's a performance improvement. Sure. To incorporate there. Offered in the canisters and the filter bags also.
Flap cleaner thing here.
That actually tampers the insides of those pleats as it rotates and drops your fine particles down into the collection bag.
Okay. And is this kind of new, this electronic control?
That's right. That's actually our remote control. You can turn it on manually here.
Okay.
Actually, I just did that. Turn it off. Or you can use the remote control with it as well.
Awesome. Yeah, that's very cool.
Extreme close-up.
Yeah. Okay, we're at the Tenryu booth, and I know a lot of you guys ask me questions about which blade I recommend, and in the past I have used Forest. One brand that's really caught my attention is the Tenryu brand. So we're here with one of the reps, so this is Gary, and he's going to tell us a little bit about their blades and hopefully learn a little bit more about them so you can see, try some other brands, expand our horizons. Sure. So what do we got?
Well, in response to your inquiry about the Woodworker 2, which is pretty much an industry standard for a woodworking application,
Right.
Our blade that we use for that application, which is an excellent blade for crosscut or as well as ripping applications in a table saw, is the gold metal. This is available in 10, 12, and a 14-inch configuration. Most commonly 10, for most people use a 10-inch blade for a table saw.
Sure.
This blade features a very unique process in how we manufacture it. It's 2,007-inch in run-out maximum, so it's very, very flat and true plate.
Okay.
We feature a laser cut slots on the edges of our blade, which are then also a patent of ours, is to backfill that then with a resin compound.
Okay.
And what that resin compound does, most people just cut the slots, and that allows for relief and allows for the blade to have motion while it's in vibration. But what we do by filling it with the resin is that actually acts as a shock absorber. And so that absorbs a lot of the plate resonance and keeps the plates a combination of being very true as well as the isolation of sound. I'll take a quarter and I'll show you. One thing that's interesting about this is that when you hold this, irregardless of the hose being in place,
Oh, no kidding.
There's no ringing. It's totally dampened. So what this does is it yields a very true and straight cut.
Sure, yeah.
One of the hallmarks of our product is that when you work with this on in hardwood, for example, for cabinet making, you'll find that your finished cut quality, even this is only 40 teeth, the quality of the cut that you get is virtually seamless as far as it's very, very sharp, very, very true, both in the rip and the cross. The quality of this is such that you can also even cut some higher grade plywood with this successfully without chip out. That we do have blades obviously specifically for that, but if you want to be the kind of guy who I want a blade to do it all, this is probably the closest thing that we have available.
Now, as far as sharpening goes, do you guys have recommended places for sharpening? Do you sharpen them yourself?
We do have a factory that our own factory does do regrinding services, but it's not available to outside groups. It's done primarily for our automotive segment that we do. But we do sell our product through a series of other distribution channels, one of those being the resharpening channel. So there are a lot of resharpeners that are out there that are familiar with our product and do handle our product. And the information that's pertinent for the regrinding is specified on the blade itself. So basically, that information is given to the resharpener when he receives
So if it's a reputable place, you should have no problem.
Yeah, and again, that's the function is basically finding someone who really knows what they're doing.
Sure.
Because resharpening can vary from place to place and from who's doing it. We found traditionally that many people who make the investment in CNC technology, they tend to do a better job consistently in some cases. Although not to say it can't be done manually, it sure can. It then comes into the scope of who's doing the work.
Yeah. So you think Forrest would get upset if I sent them my Tenryu blade for sharpening?
They might get
do that.
They might get a little bit
It
upset
might mess
about
it up.
that.
It might make it dull just on purpose.
Right. Yeah, just try to make it a little bit different for their own purpose. But yeah.
Great. Okay, well, I think I've sort of been on the fence, and I've just been waiting for my current blade to go dull before I pick one of these up. So I'll certainly let you guys know what I think, but I'm pretty impressed with what I see. So thanks, Gary.
Thank you. Appreciate you coming by. Thanks for the combination.
So Mark, these are the new line of super jigs from Leigh Industries. We've got three models, a 12-inch, an 18-inch, and a 24-inch. And basically what differentiates these from our older models, the D4R, D4, the D1600, is really capacity, thickness capacity. So D4R, for instance, which is that jig over there, does exactly, still is, and it does through dovetails up to 1.25 inches, where the super jigs go up to 13/16. The D4R does half line dovetails up to 1.5 inches, where the super jigs go up to 1 inch. But we've got some new features with the super jigs that we've not been previously been able to do. We've been making adjustable through and half line dovetail jigs for 25 years, and our whole premise is that hang cut look. Many people have said over the years, sometimes they just want to make a quick machine cut half line both boards at the same time. So we've actually added that feature also to the jig. So you can do machine cut half lines like that.
Or for like shop furniture.
Exactly.
You don't want to necessarily, you don't need all the frills. That is good, secure, tight joint.
Yeah, standard drawer box type.
Yeah, nice and fast.
Yeah, like that. 5/16 box, and it also does half inch. One of the neat features is the fact, if you've ever cut box joints before, a router bit, straight router bit cuts a straight slot. Whatever the diameter of that router bit is how big the slot's going to be. So if the bit is oversized, you're going to get a loose sloppy joint. So what we've come out with is what we call E-bush. It's actually an elliptical guide bush. So across this dimension is 7/16 of an inch. But across this dimension, 90 degrees, it's 20 thousandths less than 7/16, and it's on an ellipse. So what that allows us to do is we just put a centerline mark on the base of the router. So we got a centerline mark on the base of the router.
Okay.
And here you can see right now it's on the almost the 7 mark. Right. Normally you would start off on the 10 for all operations except for box joints. Box joints you start on the 5, and then you can adjust. Each increment represents 2/1000ths of an inch on the glue line.
Okay.
So you can accurately adjust the joint tightness to get exactly the fit that you want.
Wow. That's awesome.
That's a pretty cool.
Very
and then you
cool.
can see it says tighter or looser. Tighter that way, looser that way. And we supply with the super jig, little wrench, so that you can actually adjust it.
Sure. Okay.
The other nice thing that we've done with these guide bushings, if you're familiar with the two-piece style guide bushings that are like that, everybody ends up getting a pair of vice grips on there to keep them tight. Well, we've given you these nice thumb grips on the one side.
I know I constantly rip the skin off my fingers on these things.
And then the wrench, so you get a nice tight purchase on it.
Fantastic. So what is the expected date for these to be
These will start shipping either late July or early August. Should be late July. And price points, you're looking at this price from $199 to $269 to $329.
And how do you feel it's going to affect the flagship, the classic one? Do you think the sales are going to drop on that, or is that being phased out?
No, I think what we've targeted these jigs at is a segment of the market that we've not been in before, or haven't been in for 20 years. We used to have a 12-inch jig back in the 80s, and then we dropped that because the 24-inch always outsold the 12-inch at the end about 20-to-1 ratio. So we just dropped the 12-inch. But now the market has changed, where there's people that can have different levels of affordability, and that's what these jigs are aimed at.
Fantastic. I was so surprised when I saw the press release for that. Like, that's smart. They need to do that.
Yeah,
that's great. Well, thanks a lot. I really appreciate it.
Likewise.
Showing how the technology works. This is an oscilloscope that we've hooked up to our contractor saw, which is coming out later this year.
Okay.
And the basic gist behind the technology is the fact that your body has an electrical capacitance that wood doesn't.
Sure.
You absorb electricity, you emit electricity. So what we've done is we've applied a low voltage charge to the blade. It's about 3 volts. It's not anything that you can feel, but it's being read as a constant signal by a digital signal processor inside the brake cartridge.
Okay.
So you can see that if I touch the blade, I'm actually changing the signal. In this case, I'm absorbing some of that electricity, and I'm changing it. And that really is the indicator that something bad just happened, and it's time to set off the reaction process. The reaction process is basically the digital signal processor sends a message through a capacitor, sends a quick burst of electricity, which burns a fuse wire, which is holding this spring in place. This spring is under 150 pounds of compression. So that spring releases, the brake cartridge jams up into the teeth of the blade, the teeth dig in, and that's what stops the blade. But that's only half. The other part is there's a release mechanism that we built into the arbor assembly, and it's right here. And basically the arbor assembly is on a pivot. And so what it does is that residual force releases this mechanism and it drops the blade below the table surface. And so it does 2 things. One is it gets the blade out of the way, and the other thing is it absorbs that excess energy. So no damage is done to the saw.
Very good. Well, it is a beefy saw. It's very impressive. So appreciate you taking a few minutes with us, sir. No problem. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for coming out later.
Hi, I'm Scott Box with Steel City, and I want to take a few minutes to talk about our new product. It's a 10-inch riving knife saw. By a riving knife, it means that the splitter actually follows the blade as it travels up and down in a vertical plane. But the most unique thing about this saw is the tabletop material we've used. It's actually black granite, a full 44 millimeters thick. It has very similar properties to cast iron, but it's harder than cast iron, and obviously you can get it much flatter. When we polish and grind the table, it comes out to within 1/1000th of an inch, over 30 inches from corner to corner. We still use a T-slotted miter gauge to give support on the front of the machine. You've got stops for your 45 and your 90-degree blade adjustment through the top of it. And we're using a new industrial style fence that you see over here. Flip that up. That rolls quite easily on the fence.
That's nice.
This has got a 50-inch cut capacity on this particular model with the 3 horsepower. Now we've also taken the granite a few steps further. One of the problems that everybody has with joiners is trying to get a straight, flat fence.
No kidding.
And we were able to do that by merely replacing the cast iron fence again with a piece of very heavy granite. This is a center mount fence on this unit, but here again we're running over 45 inches corner to corner, and it's flat within the thousandth of an inch.
That's amazing.
Now the granite will never change. It's very consistent. It's very dense. It'll never rust, obviously. One of the other products that we've added to the lineup with the granite is a tabletop on the bandsaw. So we expect to carry this configuration through. This is our 14-inch, and we'll also look at putting it on the 16, the 18, and the 20-inch bandsaws. So for right now, that's the basic product offering. We expect to have these out in the market around December or January.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you for stopping.
Oh, no.
Also.
We had the pleasure of speaking with Michael Williams. He's VP of Marketing at Festool, and a guy I've been in contact with a lot lately, and he's going to give us a little bit of a synopsis on the state of affairs at Festool, what's going on, what the future holds, hopefully. Maybe give us some hints on what might be coming down the line, because there's a lot of rumors out there, so we're just kind of curious.
Yeah, Mark, first and foremost, we really appreciate your guys, you and of course Nicole.
It's a pleasure.
Taking part in the show with us this year, and everybody in the booth really felt like it made an impact. And you know, you're developing your presence, and really nice to have this relationship with you. And now, with that stated, Festool is kind of at a point in the market where a lot of people have really taken notice. The interesting thing is that the domino has really been kind of the tipping point for a lot of people, helping them understand, you know, the kind of innovation that Festool brings, and a little bit of what we're all about. The interesting thing is, and I feel like a broken record talking about it, is so many people associate Festool now with the domino because of that innovation. And I know this sounds like a marketing pitch, but we have 30 other products that are just as innovative as the domino. And it's just, it's interesting because those launched before we hit this critical mass. So one of the things that I'm really trying to do is hammer the message that, you know, check out the domino, it's super innovative, but check out the rest of the line because it's going to change the way you work. Look at the TS saw. You can slice and dice plywood like you could not do with a panel saw, a table saw, a miter saw in seconds. You spend hours building a jig to do something.
It's changed the way the whole workflow in my shop has changed because I have that system. So.
Exactly, and our hope is that people will take a look at it, see the splinter-free cuts and the ease of setup and the guide rail system, and say, you know, this isn't such mysterious technology. This is something that I could adopt in my own workshop.
Absolutely, yeah. Excellent. So one of the rumors, and I might put you on the spot here, is everybody's talking about possibly having miter saws. Is there any truth to it? And I guess if you can't say anything, you can't say anything. But I figured I'd ask because these guys would be mad if I didn't. So.
Right. Yeah. It's.
So just quickly, what would you say overall Festool's goals, where they see themselves in the market, with such a huge market of tools, how do they want to set themselves apart from other manufacturers?
You know, here's another one of those things where I know I sound like a broken record, but one of the defining characteristics about Festool is we don't want to be like everybody else. We want to be our own brand. We want to run our own business model. We want to bring innovation to the market our way. You can't do that if you're following somebody else's business plan. And so a lot of the things that we do, we try to go to market differently. We have a different distribution strategy than most other companies, and it works really well for us. And it is providing a very good base for how we hope to grow in the future. We want sustainable growth. We want growth that's going to be matched year after year after year. And again, you can't do that if you're running your business on somebody else's model.
Well, there's no doubt in the quality level of Festool. It's one thing I don't think anybody can argue with. So I'm personally honored to be a part of the team to some extent. So,
No, you're definitely part of the team, and we appreciate it very much.
Yeah.
Like I said in the beginning, it's been a fantastic show. We had a huge turnout.
it's been awesome.
The demos, I think, went extremely well.
Yeah.
You built some really cool furniture.
I finally got one done today.
Yeah. You had to fight through it this afternoon, but
Well,
no,
people,
you got it done.
the one consistent thing, one of the consistent things, people are just excited. They're so curious and excited, not just like, oh, nice demo, then move on. They stay around for 10, 15 minutes sometimes and just constantly asking these questions. So, I mean, the buzz is out there, the interest is there, so I'm just happy the company is just so innovative. They just come up with different things and they're not afraid to try something new. You know?
Definitely.
Definitely a company I like to be associated with.
Yeah, good. That's. I think, as much as anything, that's my hope that people realize about us, that we are a different kind of tool company, not working by the status quo.
Exactly. Very good. Well, I think that wraps it up. Thanks a lot, Michael.
All right, thanks a lot.
Appreciate it.
Really enjoyed it.
Take care.
Thanks, Nicole.